We got a game from the middle of the GPG net rank ladder. So this is probably the more active ladder. It's hard to call this is the original 3599 patch. And I've been doing videos of games with the top players, but I think I'll look at some of the games more from the middle of the ladder, so around 200 rank, just to see how things are happening here. And just to show people there is an active ladder where you can play with players maybe more of your own skill, but these players do have a lot of games under their belt, so they should know what they're doing. We see in very early scouts, so from T, he is playing Aeon. You can see the plans are a whole bunch of land, not too much air yet. Very aggressive ACU. And usually we see battles here through the bottom. With the ACU, usually this ACU goes to the bottom choke point. Interesting scout going on water instead of going on land. And this NG right here has it's going to be very tricky. It's going to go on water here, try to establish radar. And very nice to see scouts put directly into people's bases. Now we're going to see ACU confrontations here at Pierce around the top choke point. So the second land factory being built by T now. Very even scores. Nice to see Mantis with a scout. Scout gets killed, but Mantis still going to the Hydro from Aleph Null. We're seeing air. It looks like third air. First two land already completed, and the two ACU just pass each other. It looks like T is going to be aggressive and go into Aleph Null's base, and Aleph is actually going to establish something like a base around the top choke point. These Mantis from Aleph Null being very effective, controlling this bottom choke point. It'd be nice to see some raiding through this middle. We see that T has picked up his rocks. We can't say that for Aleph Null. Still has a whole bunch of mass that he hasn't taken. A raider now built here in the middle of the map would be a very nice target. Very aggressive NG is going to go capture things. So it appears the choke points are controlled by Aleph Null, but T has already got past the midpoint. He can start attacking Aleph Null's base. Very interesting NGs from T here, always going through water. Always trying to be tricky. And this NG is going to walk into some Auroras. And looking at this map, really Aeon has massive advantage, can take its T1 onto water. And now we're seeing T marching toward Aleph Null's Hydro and Air Factory, but there is a gesture. And T has absolutely no air, so no counter to that gesture. No plans for air either. So T has reclaimed the Hydro from Aleph Null. Aleph Null has a whole bunch of T1 pattern generators, however, and making multiple point defenses, so really this is very secure for Aleph Null. And T reclaiming this factory, actually going quite low on health now, probably should be very careful, and now it's going to go into the water. Still absolutely no navy from either player, so very secure in the water. And we probably won't see T2 air for a while. So while that's happening, we can see Aleph Null's ACU is getting an upgrade. We should look at the economy here. Actually pretty decent in terms of power, even though he lost the Hydro. Very heavy on the power generators, and T still doing pretty good. Pretty massive Aurora force now going through the middle. This has potential to do a lot of damage to Aleph Null's base. You can see Aleph rebuilding his Hydro as well as these factories. And this ACU from T is walking away. Looks like it might reunite with some of the Auroras. We now see the Aurora split into two. There's going to be some Mantis and Aurora action. Looks like T does have the numbers. And on the other side, complete domination from T. We do see a lot of PD here and absolutely no arty in T's armies, and they're just going to run into these PDs, and these actually, yes, that's kind of strange. A lot of Aliphnol's base is pretty vulnerable, but he does have these double PDs, which should protect his power, so he'll be able to rebuild fast. And he also has this secret base here. It looks like a T2 ACU, so you can start making T2 PD as well as maybe some flak, things like that. Maybe some T2 power. We do see T going T2 air with AM, perhaps going mercies. We're seeing a T2 engineer. Always nice to go T2 engineer. Looks like an abandoned naval factory, so T decided not to go with that, and still see this gesture from Aliphnol really forcing T back into the water. You can see these Auroras did a lot of damage. The Hydra is once again destroyed, but a lot of losses. So that was an excellent arty shot. 17 kill arty from Aliphnol. It's a great defense versus Auroras. Now we see the attack from Aliphnol. He's moving in with quite a few units. We do see some T2 PD. That's going to make it very difficult for Aliphnol. Really his option here, since he has a T2 ACU, is to have a T2 PD standoff. And now his expansion base here is under some threat. Pretty big force from T. So all game we've seen T producing much larger forces. And a very adventurous ACU, putting a lot of pressure on Aliphnol's base. Looks like Aliphnol is thinking about what to do next. He really does not want to walk too close to these PDs. He's got to retreat, and that's exactly what he's going to do. Actually going quite low on health here. T comes back out of the ocean, 12 kills. So gotta continue making mass extractors, and this gesture with 5 kills might force him back in. Interesting to see minute 13, nobody's even looked at these side islands. So T2 from Aliphnol here hasn't really used that at all, and now we see mercy snipes. So T2 air from Aeon. We're seeing these mercies. Aliphnol's got to run into the water. He does have a T1 flag here, but Aliphnol going quite low on health now. One more mercy and he's dead. And is that mercy on the way? Yes, it is. Strange that it's taken so long. And it looks like Aliphnol, there's the mercy, but Aliphnol is going to make it into the water. So now we also see some T1 air from Aliphnol, so I'll give him a little more time. See this gesture? It looks like he did force T back into the water. Scout above an ACU should just reclaim it. Oh, he captured it. That's even better. And Aeon force a bunch of Auroras once again from T. Has been using these old games to raid. We're seeing mercies actually going around the map. But the thing about mercies in 3599, they don't have too much fuel, and it doesn't quite make it to its destination. That's why these long paths around are not such a good idea. And there's going to be another mercy wasted. That was quite a bit of mass. Oh, attempted to kill a T1 land factory and only got halfway. Aliphnol actually regained quite a bit of health. It's got a T2 engineering, so it regens quite fast. We're seeing now T2 power generators from T, so his economy should be very good at this point. And very secure in terms of ground attacks. He got all these T2 PDs. Really not much Aliphnol can do. Maybe he can make a navy or really establish a better base. Maybe do some ecoing as well. He does have T2 ground. He's made stealth plus some flak. Should see some T2 engineers. So if we look at reclamation here at coming up on minute 18, Aliphnol at 1500, T at 1200, very similar. So since we have all that Rex, we should see a lot of Rex. Since we see such low reclamation numbers, we should see a lot of Rex all over the map. And now we see another raiding party from T with a bunch of Auroras moving in. We see plans for a whole bunch of PD from these engineers. Interesting to see. T has not used arty at all this game. Would have really helped him. And Aliphnol nearly back to full health. With the ACU, should be able to defend against that Aurora force. but you can see T has a lot more mass extractor points. There is some T2 mass extractors from Aleph Null. Appears to be 1, 2 at least. And now you see these Auroras versus Artie. 22 kills for the Artie. It's still alive, just sitting in the same spot. We also see some T2 mass extractors from T. So in terms of economy, T should be much better. You also see T2 transport loaded up with a bunch of flares. This is the Tech 2 Ghetto, a very powerful weapon. Probably thinking about taking over those islands finally. I've seen some missile launchers from Aleph Null. Really, these are the counter to those PDs. Perhaps he's going to go on an attack, but he will need a few more T2 units. It's a great NG from Aleph Null, or from T, just got killed. Aleph Null going with T2 power, so he probably doesn't need that, just to catch up with T in terms of production. And more Mercies coming in. And that Mercy got taken out with some T1 air. So maybe in this situation, instead of Mercies, T could use his gunships and make some Swift Twins, takes back air, and put more pressure on Aleph Null. Of course, Aleph Null has this nice force, some flak, missile launchers. This could probably do some pretty good raiding on T's base. And now we're seeing this ghetto at work, taking out the T2 PD civilians. He is going to control the islands. We are seeing some Swift Twins from T. Now we might see an interesting battle here, a whole bunch of flares moving in on this T2 force. Should be a easy victory for Aleph Null if he moves his units, but T might try to run away. These flares are a little bit faster. You see the T2 power generator. We do not see any tactical missile defense yet. So one great tactic on this map is to make cruise missiles. You can really hit anything on this map with a missile launcher anywhere on the map. Seeing more air factories from T plus more T2 power. He has so much T2 power, probably should reclaim all that T1 power. And T makes it back to his base. He really went all the way all around the map. Seen some bombing with T1 bombers from T, but they don't really get to do too much damage. And Aleph Null looks like he's going to try to make a turtle with Cybern. Seeing T2 PD, T1 PD plus some shields, as well as some T2 flak. And he has a really massive force here that he could be using more aggressively. There is also a force from a T, but this is mostly Auroras and flares. A really weak force in terms of armor. Will be completely decimated by these T2 point defense. We should expect these to get a lot of kills. Nice to see the Mantis used to help build. You can see this flak at work. These are very good tanks right here, Rhinos, as well as some Wangers. You're going to get a lot of kills. But in terms of map control, definitely T has a massive advantage. Also have these flares in the water from T, from that attack about 5 minutes ago. It looks like air now belongs to T, using those Swift Winds, the advantage for Aeon. Aleph Null making quite a bit of flak. T2 radar, this is costing T 100 power, so this Hydra is paying for this sonar. That sonar does give him pretty good coverage of the entire map, so maybe it is worth it. We're seeing T2 or T1 bombers from T. They don't get too many passes. See already 10 kills in this flak. Another T2 power generator. It looks like this T2 power is the target for T. this T2 force from Aleph Null doing its job. So these units getting quite a bit of kills. Already 19 kills in this Rhino. He should be using them to push forward. So really low aggression on Aleph Null. Good units, but no aggression. Looks like this radar, yeah, this NG is making a radar. It's always nice. We see more T1 bombers from T. Also a T2 radar. I should give most of the map coverage. And here come the bombers. Looks like they're targeting T2 point defense. They don't get more than one pass. They almost kill that T2 point defense. Not clear why that's the target. Most likely the T2 power is the target. More bombers coming in from T. Well, we see T here worried about missile launchers. These are the tactical missile launchers defense from Aeon. And now T actually has put his units on patrol. That's a good way to dodge these missiles. Aleph with his force could really kill all these units and then reclaim all the wrecks. So many wrecks here that neither player is picking up. More T2 flak from Aleph Null. So it looks like he's just going for a pretty base. He's going T3 mass extractor here, so he's going to have a pretty good eco very soon. He's got a 4 T2 plus 1 T3 now, so I should have a pretty nice mass, about plus 60. T is sitting at plus 100, so much better. We also see some T2 in T's army, some obsidians, very good anti-ground units. Of course, we do see these T2 PD should give Aleph Null quite a bit of protection. Tactical missile defense. A few units try to go in one by one, 10 kills in this T2 PD. We can see simultaneous attacks and some bombers here being snuck in by T. But these units here already 20 kills. This T2 19 kills are really not going to let anything past. I see these obsidians actually taking out the T2 power generator. Very good T2 units, a lot of health on these. Going after the Hydro. But a lot of wrecks for Aleph Null to reclaim now. We're also seeing T2 bombers from Aleph Null. So this is a T2 factor, very valuable. He does not want to lose them. These bombers are kind of sitting off map for T. Now Obsidian's moving through. Should taking out some of these T2 units. And a secret navy now for T, and now here come the bombers. Interesting to see what their target is going to be. It was the Hydro and they successfully take that out. But here come the secret navy. This is already a T2 plus a destroyer. If you get a destroyer on this map and other player has no counter, you basically win. It's a pretty massive T1 bombing. Some of these bombers might get shot down. It is the T2 factory. It is the target for T. More shields for Aleph Null. He's going to make more flak and more missile defense, plus a stealth field. And it's actually a perfect place for him to have air fights. So much flak in this area. These T1, T2 planes are going to fall out of the sky. One thing he should really work on though is reclaiming a lot of this mass. He is doing it to his dead T2 power generator. More auroras plus obsidians moving through. This might be finally the death for some of these T2 units. There's definitely the obsidians doing a good job. But a pretty nice force on the other side from Aleph Null. He might be a little more aggressive. a very even fight, but as soon as they get in range of these T2 PDs, T2 factory is the target. That we do see a T3 land factory from Al-Afnal. He's making an NG, T3 NG. He might make a spider. We see a bunch of submarines from T. Those are usually used when you're fighting a navy, but given that Al-Afnal has no navy, it's questionable to have them. More T1 bombers looking for things to kill. We are going to see something like a fight. See about 5-6 obsidians in this force. Here come the bombers, and you can see how effective T2 flak is against T1 bombers. Those didn't even get to do anything. More NGs. A couple of bricks from this factory would really give Al-Afnal a huge advantage, but it looks like he's content with just making T2 engineers, T3 engineers. Now we're seeing some shields used by T, and T is finally going with some gunships. He is going to get a T3 land very soon. See multiple T2 factories from T. That's the advantage of having missile launchers in your army. You can shoot from far away. This is definitely the wrong side to attack Al-Afnal. See a lot of T2 PD here. Although these obsidians do get some kills, but not enough. Now we are seeing reclamation from Al-Afnal. That's going to give him pretty good advantage. We already see 11,000 mass reclaimed, only 3,000 for T. And here comes T2 Navy. And this fort has quite a few obsidians. A few bricks from here. Actually, we see loyalists, so now that's a correct unit type to use. These loyalists right here are going to be a good counter to this T2A and force moving in from T. And now we see Al-Afnal finally getting some of these mass extractors. Actually, those obsidians did a good job. This shield giving them a huge advantage. Plus, this is a lot of T2, these obsidians. Extremely powerful force. Might see the ACU get involved in this. But now the T2PD are going to clean up on these obsidians. And here comes the bricks. This is a unit that Alaf should have built a long time ago. It's going to get a lot of kills from. See torpedoes on a... And this is excellent from Al-Afnal, a T3 torpedo launcher. All those subs are basically going to die. This is the best torpedo launcher in the game. And those are T1 subs, so it's just going to demolish them. Very expensive, but now Navy should be afraid in this area. It would be nice to see a sonar with it as well. See T3 Air from T. This is a pretty nice force of T2 bombers who might attempt to snipe something like these destroyers, but there is a cruiser here. We want to snipe that cruiser first. Al-Afnal still making shields and T2 power generators, so very much a turtle. He's got multiple T3 mass extractors. And I think I saw some T3 anti-air. Somewhere there is T3, here it is. It's a very good anti-bomber. Now here come the T2 Navy. And these jesters are attempted to counter. If they can take out this cruiser, they can have pretty good success. And this is excellent T1 Air versus T2 Navy. But here comes the Air Force from T. Forces these jesters back. Really all that Al-Afnal can do is make either arty or make an experimental, or try to win air back. And he could probably do this because he got a lot of very good stationary units. See the plans for T's still making T2 power generators and shields, and has actually made a quantum gateway. He's going to make some support commanders. And here come Artie. Yeah, so this is a good counter. T3 heavy artillery. These shells are hitting somewhere there, and there goes the destroyer. It's a nice counter. And now here come the bricks as well. These actually do have some torpedoes on them, but they're extremely weak. This cruiser really has no chance. Bricks extremely good units. It's a good use of T3 land versus T2 Navy. Of course, these T2 Navy destroyers have much longer range than the bricks, but not longer than this Artie. No experimentals yet. This is going to be a support commander. Curious to see what the plan is for that support commander. And no experimentals yet. I am sure that if Aleph Null put a lot of his resources into a spider, he could probably win this game, but he's not doing that. We are seeing Harveys coming out now, some T3 from Aeon, and a whole bunch of obsidians. This is going to be a very nice force from T. We are seeing multiple bricks, and now we are seeing some T3 power, probably not the best spot, plus stealth, some T2 PD. Bricks versus Harveys. If it wasn't for all those obsidians, it would be a very easy win for the bricks. Actually, these Harveys are subjected to some bomb. It'd be very tough for this force to do anything. So a pretty good defense from Aleph Null. Should be a retreat from T. He's just throwing units away now. And he is going to try the other side. This might be a good idea. And this torpedo system is very good. Taking out T2. It's going to take out a whole bunch of T1 as well. So already 13 kills. So a whole bunch of torpedo bombers from Aleph Null. Looks like he has given up on the Navy. And all the Harveys are lost. This is just obsidians. So much nice mass for Aleph Null. Looks like he is also going to go with a quantum gateway. This is very strange to see in ranked. And looks like even more support commanders now for T. This has got to be the strangest fins I've ever seen. This is just crazy. More T1 air factories now for Aleph Null. So one thing we should notice, a lack of NGs from both players. Usually see many more NGs and less factories, but these players are going really heavy with factories. You really only need one T3 of each and a couple hundred NGs around each. And now attempting to sneak around on Aleph Null is not going to be successful. Some bricks on the back door. Cleaning up. There was a loss of this T2 air factory, but that isn't a huge loss. And we might actually see something like a turtle creep here. Just sort of keep building shields until you get to the other person's base. That'd be interesting to see. These shields going in this direction, and now we might see actually an attack from Aleph Null. This is the first attack in about 30 minutes, maybe even more. It's a missile launcher from T, and it's not going to be successful. It looks like there is some TMD plus shields. Yeah, 3 TMDs. No chance. And this could be trouble for T. He really has a bunch of obsidians and working on shields. Only one T2 PD. A few T2 PD here and there, but this is very vulnerable to a force of this size. Now we're seeing T2 gunships. And do we have flak here? Yes, we have flak. So this force shouldn't really be afraid of those gunships. No reason to retreat. Might lose one brick, but at least you're gonna go on attack. So Aleph Null retreating because of a bunch of gunships that he had to counter to. This already 7 kills on this flak. You'll actually see these gunships getting killed quite fast. And you can see while he retreated, he actually killed off all those gunships except 3. So really should not have happened. I was so excited about that attack from Aleph Null. He was finally gonna do real damage to T, but T scared him away with some T2 gunships. And now it's gonna be much more difficult. It's gonna be some serious defense. A line of T2 PD, plus we're gonna see a GC very soon, and a GC is gonna do a lot of damage to Aleph Null's base. Aleph Null should be thinking about an experimental of his own. It looks like he's thinking of making a navy, plus more T3 torpedo launchers. These are extremely expensive. If he builds all those, he could probably make 2 spider bots for the price of all those torpedo launchers. These are T3 mass extractors. Out on the field, absolutely no protection. Those should be killed. Looks like bricks. Yeah, bricks is always a good choice if in doubt. You have T3 Cybern, always make those. This very good looking base here. Looks like a lot of arty planned for Aleph Null, of course. This is not going to be a good defense against GC, which has been completed and still not sent in. Appears that these support commanders should just use it as engineers. So one of these costs 10,000 mass, which is half of this GC. And it looks like this is something that T likes to do, put things into water. He's going to attempt to go around and surprise Aleph Null. And now some of these Harveys getting close to Aleph Null's defense and getting chased away by some bricks. Try to attack on the other side, although we do see bricks on the other side as well. This is a good looking base from Aleph Null. More plans, more T3 power. Have not seen any nukes constructed yet. We see an anti-nuke from T. And we see this GC is on its way. And you can see another attack thwarted by Aleph Null. And now we see a retreat from T's units. See, this T1 PD is very effective. But really it's these bricks. And here we see the GC is going to come out of the water. Well, it's a question of how much damage it will do. It is going after the T3 power, so it's a very good target. And yet another T3 power, taking quite a bit of damage. A successful attack so far, and it's going to be chased away into the water. He's running really far away, and actually getting shot in the head. And will it leave a wreck? Yes, its feet are sticking out, so you can reclaim that. It's 20,000 mass. It's a good defense from Aleph Null, even though he lost a few T3 power. He really got a massive, now we're seeing restorers. These really have no chance against a base like this. Excellent anti-air from Aleph Null, but we're seeing Aleph Null now losing 3 T3 power generators. But his shields are still holding up if you look at his power. Actually, shouldn't be too much problems, but he is having negative. Yeah, now they're back. He just has way too much mass. Seeing a follow-up attack by a whole bunch of obsidians. But if he killed the GC, he's going to kill obsidians quite easily as well. So once again, a good defense from Aleph Null. And actually his ACU could be in a little bit of danger here. This is a port ACU. This is not the real thing, so even if that dies, it doesn't matter. But you can see those bricks just moved in and cleaned everything up. Where's the real ACU? The real ACU is in the back making a spider. Something we should have seen a long time ago. So this game getting a little more excited now. These restorers looking for things that are not protected. It looks like a T2 Navy moving back. It looks like T is going to use it for protection. Whole bunch of support commanders now. Looks like they're again upgraded. I'd be curious to see what he puts on these. Let's see what are the options for Aeon. He can put a teleport on him, which would be useless here. Rapid generator. Some resource. Can make power generators on him, and just to make him put a bigger gun on these. And it looks like he's just going for resources. And here come the restorers, now getting taken out by ASF. We're seeing multiple T3 land factories from Aleph Null, as well as multiple T3 air. Oh, this is T2 and this is T3. So if both of these players use more NGs and less factories, it'd be much better. And a lot more raiding from Aleph Null. Really not nearly enough aggression as he could have had in this game. That's really the only difference between these two players. Now here come these harms. It's pointless to attack harms with submarines. It's just suicide. And it's also suicide to fly over Aleph Null's base right now. It's just way too much anti-air. Something like this is just deadly. But it's a lot of resources invested. Now these destroyers attempting to attack T2 production. You see T3 Navy now from Aleph Null, and this is a nuclear submarine. That's very ambitious from Aleph Null. A nuclear sub is not going to be very good, given that there is an anti-nuke from T. See yet another GC being constructed by T. I've been seeing a slow stream of units here getting taken out by Aleph Null. It looks like Aleph Null is going to make 3 spider bots. That's a good idea. In terms of defense, T has a much weaker base. Aleph Null has been very defensive all games, had very nice defense. Yep, that Obsidian got taken out. It looks like Aleph Null has found T's base. It's taking it out with air. We see multiple cruisers here. Pretty brutal for those torpedo bombers. And some more T3 artillery now from, well, not anymore, from T, losing that arty battle. So it's not nice to just leave your units out in the field getting bombarded. 18 kills for this arty. We look at this sideways. Slavian shells. Yeah, Cybern arty is the best anti-ground. A very wide area that it hits. More harms. Looks like Aleph Null wants to put harms all the way around his island. We are now seeing some stealth submarines from Aleph Null attacking the naval production. These are great against cruisers. T3 bombers, T3 torpedo bombers will take that out. And now it appears Aleph Null has taken the lead in terms of the score. He has reclaimed 92,000. That equals to almost 5 spider bots. Actually, that does equal to 5 spider bots. T has only reclaimed 3,000. That's a massive difference. So 5 spider bots have been gifted by T over to Aleph Null. And he is nearly finished with this 3rd spider bot. Perhaps that will be the beginning of an attack. And you can see these restorers attempting to actually taking out a destroyer, but paying a pretty big price. And those are all T3 torpedo bombers from T. Not clear what the targets are, but they can pretty much kill anything that's over here. Probably the most expensive target, this T3 naval factory with a third of the way built. Yep, and actually just took out that submarine. Pretty big loss. But these, that was a very expensive proposition from T. He just lost like 10 very expensive T3 bombers. He did take out a third of the way done nuclear submarine, but he had a counter to it anyway. So the spider bots have been completed, and it looks like Aleph Null wants 3 bugs to go with those 3 spiders. So we will never see Aleph Null actually attack. He does not attack, he only plays defense. 3 GCs, oh my gosh. So yeah, definitely don't attack 3 GCs with 3 spider bots. And it looks like oh, this is actually 5 GCs now from T, and he's gonna make more, so 6 GCs. This is something that you can definitely win this game with, and you can see plus 395 mass production for T. Aleph Null only at plus 170, and you can really damage the production from T here if you took out a couple of these unprotected T3 mass extractors. But it looks like a lot of production actually comes from these. Yeah, he's making these extremely fast. The spiders are now marching through the water. So one good thing about these spiders is they're stealthy. You can sneak them around. Maybe put them in the water here. That's exactly what he's doing. Sneak them around, and maybe if you find the ACU, here's T. If these GC go on a attack, you sneak around them and kill this ACU. Be nice to see this late in the game. This ACU actually have some shields on it. The bug is being constructed, but it's taking quite a while. These players really worry about each other's naval production, so putting a lot of effort into shooting that down. And here come 4 GCs. Actually, no, this is 7 GCs. This should be game over. This is not something that you can really defend against unless you have a whole bunch of GCs of your own. This is a ranked game on Finns. It was 7 GCs. I don't think I've ever seen anything even close to this, and this will be very brutal. But we gotta remember, we do have those spiders in the water. So we should see Aleph Null here run into the water. He should not be there. He should not be standing waiting to get killed. Yeah, so now he's running. And here come the spiders. Not doing the right thing. They should have gone after the ACU. Looks like they're going after the support commanders. And Aleph Null's base is destroyed. And these spiders had the potential to do some damage, but they didn't really have the reconnaissance. You see T running away, now you can stop. Did any of the GCs actually die? No. So the GCs, it looks like, nearly won the game. Now there goes Aleph Null taken out by some torpedoes. So a very strange game, but pretty exciting. A lot of attacking, especially from T. Aleph Null had many opportunities, he just did not take them. So I hope you guys enjoyed this one.